The ACT Party. New Zealand First. These are the worst parties in New Zealand's current government. These are corrupt, right-wing political parties. They are also culture war parties. They promote low-quality political engagement through their exploitation of culture war issues. Mindless tribalism, shameless virtue signalling, and unjustified outrage are their political tools. Have you noticed that many right-wingers seem to love both the ACT Party and New Zealand First? Many right-wingers love both of these parties simultaneously. Many right-wingers support both the ACT Party and New Zealand First. Many right-wingers have said that they struggle to know which one to vote for. Some have even suggested some kind of coalition between the two. These are the sentiments of politically clueless people. If you strongly support both ACT and New Zealand First, you don't understand these parties. These parties are completely different. The ACT Party is socially liberal and economically liberal. New Zealand First is socially conservative and economically conservative. That is an enormous political difference. If you can overlook that, you don't take these issues seriously. Which makes sense because many of the people who support these parties have been consumed by an obsession with culture war issues. On culture war issues such as co-governance and the Treaty of Waitangi, these parties are very similar. But on serious economic and social issues, they are completely different. The ACT Party is socially liberal and economically liberal. New Zealand First is socially conservative and economically conservative. That is a momentous difference. That is a difference that has serious implications on countless political issues. ACT and New Zealand First have completely different views on privatisation. ACT and New Zealand First have completely different views on deregulation. ACT and New Zealand First have completely different views on taxation. ACT and New Zealand First have completely different views on the retirement age. And I could go on. These are major political issues. The ACT Party and New Zealand First have completely different positions on these issues. The only major similarity between ACT and New Zealand First is their stance on various culture war issues. If you strongly support both parties, you have been consumed by an unhealthy obsession with the culture wars. In terms of social and economic policy, these parties are hugely different. New Zealand First is a populist party of economic nationalists. The ACT Party is an elitist party of neoliberal reformers. At the core of the difference between ACT and New Zealand First is neoliberalism. Neoliberalism is an ideology that promotes privatisation and deregulation, among other things. New Zealand First was founded with the purpose of opposing the neoliberal agenda. The ACT Party was founded with the purpose of completing the neoliberal agenda. These parties are nothing alike. They are as alike as Rob Muldoon and Roger Douglas. Sure, they both make the left angry, but they also hate each other. One of New Zealand First's main campaign strategies was to suggest that they would stop ACT from implementing brutal economic reform. The ACT Party attacked New Zealand First for being useless and paid for advertising against them. The divide between David Seymour and Winston Peters is not just a personality conflict. It is representative of a deep-rooted ideological conflict. A conflict between a socially and economically liberal party and a socially and economically conservative party. A conflict between a neoliberal party and an anti-neoliberal party. That so many right-wingers support both of these parties reveals the consequence of culture wars. People are more invested in the co-governance debate than the economic policy that will influence their lives to a far greater degree. And this is because ACT and New Zealand First have promoted these culture wars. ACT does it to distract from their agenda of brutal economic reform. New Zealand First does it to distract from their complete lack of serious policy. ACT and New Zealand First are both bad, but they are very, very different. If you strongly support both parties, you should be paying less attention to the culture wars and more attention to economic policy. Co-governance in your local council will have little to no impact on you, but brutal economic reform certainly will. Once the ACT Party is finished with the economy, culture war issues will be a luxury that the average person cannot afford.